And I thought last week was a great episode of Dr. Stone, but episode 5 takes the cake. What an incredible, emotionally, and just overall gripping episode of this wonderful series. I don't think many people honestly believed that Senku would stay dead or really was dead, but it was still a great cliffhanger nonetheless, because obviously how would someone like Taiju take that, his best friend going out? That's not something that would be easy to handle, and how would he get out of that situation when someone's pretty much equaling his strength and easily could kill him if he wants to. And I honestly expected that he wouldn't actually end up dead or receive the blow, like he would have put soap behind his neck. They would have done something very anime, very Dr. Stone to get him out of this situation, but it does seem like he actually pretty much ended up dead. But I love the twist to it, because he had still some of his stone. He's been cracking his neck all this time. There was still a little bit of that petrification that was still on his neck, and as we've seen with the mechanics, your arm is kind of snapped off over just natural decay over time. If you place the body parts back together and use the revival juice, it will basically not only crack the stone, but mend any damage they've had, as we see with the scars on the characters' faces. And I think that's genius. Senku basically allowing it to appear like he gets killed, because he technically does, but he still has a little bit of that stone left, and as long as a little bit of that stone is left, when that juice hits him, it pretty much does everything that it should, and I think that's actually incredibly interesting. That was such a unexpected twist. Like, I saw some people say, oh, he probably put something behind his neck. I said last week, I think maybe like one of those new characters that we've been seeing will fire an arrow or something like that. And many people were expecting something along that. I didn't see anyone predict that it would be something to do with the revival juice and how they would have to get out of their way and have to use their intelligence in what Senku pretty much has built up to that point, which was the gunpowder, and basically could cause a distraction for them to escape. That was such a brilliant execution that, honestly, it kind of highlights how Dr. Stone isn't just something that's fun. It has its mechanics and it follows those mechanics, and in doing so can create some really intelligent scenes overall, while most importantly still having fun and being emotional at the end of the day. That whole confrontation with Tsukasa and the rest I thought was incredibly gripping, because this is such an intense situation. Really only Senku and Tsukasa understand each other's mentality one for one. They obviously disagree with one another, but they do have a level of respect for what they are doing. How are you going to respond to that? You have someone who obviously would be emotional and someone who never fights back, but would he pick up a boulder and try to smash you over the head with it? And if he does that, then we're going to lose another character. That's what's so interesting about the situation overall, because no one wanted this situation to occur, but when you have two different ideals and beliefs that are clashing in the rebuilding civilization, is not going to work out well, and you're going to be the antagonist for each other. And I loved that. It was so fun seeing just how emotionally gripping it was, and how it wasn't until the second half, when we got from Senku's perspective of how he started kind of rebuilding once he woke up, that it was really not even about him. It was about his legacy and what he pretty much has kind of done all this time. Even when he was back in school, when people would say, who would you save, yourself, your lover, your friend? Senku would always say, I'd find a solution for everyone, because that's just how he operates. He's all about science, he's all about logic, and if the logic doesn't make sense, he'll make his own logic and figure out a solution to do so. And I think the fact that he put his full trust that his friends, the people that he truly trusts in, would come to the conclusion that he's been snapping his neck all this time, there's something going on with his neck, and to use the juice that they've basically created to save everyone. That was just not only a really clever way to pull a fast one on the viewer, probably thinking something like another character would get involved, he would put something behind his neck, but to actually use the mechanic that's been here since the very first episode, while most importantly really highlighting the overall dynamic between these characters. It shows how much of a really close group of friends and family they truly are at this point in time, that you can put your full trust that not only if you get brutally killed, even though it was painless, that you believe that they will realize you still have some stone left on your neck, and that you can be brought back and repaired. That was simply brilliant. But I do have to say, the intro to the episode, when you basically get the recap, which is the first couple of minutes of the episode, I thought it was really nice and clever to actually switch the imagery, because when Tsukasa was saying, if we would have met back in the past, we probably could have been friends, you would have been my first friend. And we get to see some of those past scenes that we've seen from Senku and just overall Taiju's past, and actually see him implemented into it. And it was very sweet and adorable, because yeah, they really would have been interesting. No longer would it just be the guy getting pummeled and the guy kind of protecting. You would have had the attack as well, and just it was really nice chemistry, and you kind of hope that maybe someday in the Dr. Stone world, something like that could happen, but obviously only time will tell. I am glad and wasn't expecting, though, to see the overall backstory of what happened when he first woke up, because we know Senku was the first person to wake up. And I really wasn't sure what to expect and why we were focusing on this, because at first it kind of made sense, because this is kind of the whole idea of who he is as a character, really showing us how he was counting, how he kept his mentality there all this time, and how he basically said, like, if I'm going to wake up, it has to be in spring. That's the only way someone like me is going to survive. But after he woke up, I was honestly expecting that we would just maybe do a quick montage of how he rebuilt. I wasn't expecting the remainder of the episode to be dedicated to how he basically started to rebuild civilization by himself, but I'm glad we did, because not only was it funny just seeing just animals such as the monkeys, look at him as the shiny monkey who was stupid rubbing a stick for hours or just trying to chase animals. It was hilarious watching the animals from their internal monologue basically insult this man, who, yes, is a shiny monkey. But I think it was incredibly important to further highlight not only just how he eventually kind of made his stuff, sure, we wanted to see that, but to really showcase why he is someone who always plans ahead and really will get the job done no matter what. And the fact that he put his full trust in his friends, it's why you knew he was fine getting attacked and believing that he wouldn't lose all that stone on his neck and he would be able to be repaired enough. And yes, we didn't see him wake up in this episode, but at this point, there's no way he's not waking up with next week's episode. So I did enjoy seeing that because it was fun, it was adorable, but it also showed you just how he did do the insane things he did, and it did take him a little bit. It's not like he could just start a fire magically. He didn't have the strength, he didn't have just the skills that someone like his friends would have. However, he does have science, and that's the main difference between him. There's a lot of mammals, there's a lot of creatures other than humans who use tools. However, the only species that uses science is humans. So I thought it was incredibly just charming and fun seeing how he started to slowly but surely start building what he needed. Rope, fire, the tools, just weaponry, and how when he couldn't catch a deer, he would make a trap instead. And to see that end scene when you see the monkeys being like, he's not a shiny monkey anymore, and he introduces himself. Imagine that. This is Senku. He's not even lonely. He's just really just so boastful. He just believes like, bitch, I'm Senku, and you thought you were mocking me. Obviously, he can't communicate with him, but he could tell those monkeys were probably looking at him being like, what a dumbass, because monkeys do laugh too. So I thought it was just charming overall and hilarious, because for the most part, the first half of this episode was emotionally gripping, even though I was still holding on to the hope that Senku was alive or would come back in some way or another. So to just have that just, holy shit, we were so emotional in the first half, to then just laughing our ass off as monkeys made fun of one of our main characters. I don't know, it's only in Dr. Stone could you have something like that function, but it was really fun. And hell, that scene when he's trying to revive Senku Taiju and you see those lips, that is shit right from a horror. I don't even know what he was doing there, but that was hilarious. Like, I was honestly expecting in that scene for him to wake up being like, ha, I fooled you, I wasn't actually dead, but I'm really glad they didn't go that route and went with something more complex and interesting that people weren't expecting, which kind of highlights how this isn't just something that is fun. It is fun. Dr. Stone is an insanely fun show that knows what fun is and understands that it doesn't have to be super complex 24/7, but situations like this that have introduced mechanics from its very first episode, it highlights how this is a show that knows what it's doing and is just getting better with time. Last week I thought was the best episode of the series, and this one is even better. And I just hope we keep seeing the quality rise with each arc, with each character we meet, because this is something that has such a unique premise that really could stand out in anime, and I hope can run for many seasons, because this is something that clearly is special and deserves a lot of praise, attention, and success, at least in my opinion. The voice acting, I do have to say, with just the rage and sorrow, I think was probably the best we've seen over the past 5 weeks. You really got a sense of, especially with Taiju, I didn't know what he was going to do. He was picking up the boulder. I wasn't sure if he was relieving stress so he didn't do something he would regret. Would he toss it at him? There was just a lot of complexity to his voice, and this wasn't just someone who was a big oaf who didn't know what he was doing. There was a lot of feelings going through him, and just imagine that his friend could be dead, but also believing he never would give his life for someone, he would make sure everyone survives. There was such an array with his fluctuations within his voice that just sold it so well. But then you have Yuzu, who is just being so emotional that even if you kind of want to support Taiju and be like, of course, he's not dead. You see a girl just crying, you're like, man, he probably is dead. And I love that. It's so interesting how they can bring such complexity to their voices in such simple but noticeable ways that really highlight what Dr. Stone is all about. It's human interactions and how that humanity can slowly but surely build more civilization, and where the new world could go overall. Will it be just like it once was, or Will there be a new world order where it's even better than it once was? Hell, it might even be even worse. For someone like Senku, he just wants to go to space, reach that point again, leave the politics and other things to other people, obviously just not someone like Tsukasa. This was an excellent episode of Dr. Stone. Holy shit, this show is getting better with time. I am adoring it. Definitely one of my favorite, probably top 3 of this season right now. Such a great series. How was the adaptation for manga readers, anime originals like myself? What did you think of this week's episode? Where you think next week is going to go? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this video though, be sure to drop a like and also hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.